because their families have lost everything to the climate crisis. How long shall children sleep hungry because their farms have been washed away, because their crops have been dried up because of the extreme weather conditions? How long are we to watch them die of thirst in the droughts and gasp for air in the floods? What is the state of the hearts of the world leaders who watch this happen and allow it to continue? Our leaders are lost and our planet is damaged. Loss and damage used to be something people thought of as happening only in the global south. As we have seen in the recent months with wildfires in California and Greece and floods in Germany and Belgium, loss and damage is now possible everywhere. Everywhere I go, leaders fall over themselves to say how they will achieve net zero by such and such a date to mitigate the worst impacts of the climate crisis. Sometimes I hear leaders talk about the need to fund adaptation efforts where mitigation will no longer be enough. And as we know, there are far too little evidence of the $100 billion per year that was promised to help climate-vulnerable countries to meet these challenges. In fact, those funds were promised to arrive by 2020, and we are still waiting. But there is one thing I almost never hear leaders talk about, and that is loss and damage. For many of us, reducing and avoiding is no longer enough. You cannot adapt to lost cultures. You cannot adapt to lost traditions. You cannot adapt to lost history. You cannot adapt to starvation. And you cannot adapt to extinction. The climate crisis is pushing many communities beyond their ability to adapt. Why is it so easy for leaders to open up new coal power plants, construct oil pipelines, and frack gas, which are all destroying our planet and harming the present and future of their children, but so hard for them to acknowledge that loss and damage is here with us now? Climate action is not a pick and choose. Yes, of course, we need to avert and minimize as much of the future impacts as possible, but we also need to deal with the loss and damage that is already happening. It's time. It's time to take care of those who are most vulnerable from the climate impacts, which are no longer avoidable. Loss and damage has been whispered about on the edges of past COPs. It's time for leaders to put loss and damage at the center of the negotiations. And we need funding to help us deal with the damage that has already been caused, that has already happened, and the damage that we will not be able to avoid, no matter how much mitigation and adaptation is put into place. It's time to acknowledge that there must be additional funding on top of what has been promised for mitigation and adaptation. And it's time for that funding to come in the form of grants, not loans. Loans will only add debt on top of existing debts.
Perché i prestiti non faranno altro che aggiungersi a quelli già in essere per i paesi in via di sviluppo. Quindi dovranno essere prestiti, sussidi a fondo perduto, non prestiti.
It's time for our leaders to wake up. It's time for our leaders to stop talking and start acting. It's time to count the real costs, and it's time for the polluters to pay. It's time to keep the promises. No more empty promises. No more empty summits. No more empty conferences. It's time to show us the money. It's time, it's time, it's time. And don't forget to listen to the most affected
dovete
people and
ascoltare coloro
areas.
che sono
Thank you.
più colpiti da questi cambiamenti climatici. Grazie.
I will learn. Thank you, Vanessa.
Grazie Vanessa.
Not yet finished. We have Greta now, please. Greta, the floor is yours.
Adesso è la volta di Greta, prego.
I'm a bit too short, am I not?
Sono un po' bassa però io.
Hello,
Buongiorno
and thank you, Vanessa.
e grazie Vanessa.
Climate change is not only a
Il
threat,
cambiamento climatico
it
non
is
è
above
solo
all
una
an
minaccia, è
opportunity
soprattutto
to create a
un'opportunità
healthier, greener
per
and cleaner
creare
planet
un
which will
pianeta
benefit
più
all of us.
verde, più sano, a
We must
beneficio di
seize
tutti
this
noi.
opportunity.
Dobbiamo
We
cogliere
can
questa
achieve a
opportunità.
win-win in both ecological
Possiamo
conservation and
avere
high
una
quality development.
soluzione win-win sia
Fighting
per lo
climate change
sviluppo
calls
che
for
la conservazione
innovation,
del pianeta,
cooperation
ma è
and
richiesta
willpower
innovazione,
to make the changes
collaborazione
that the
e
world
forza di
needs.
volontà per
We need
mettere
to
in
walk
pratica
the
i
talk.
cambiamenti
If we do this
necessari.
together, we can do
Dobbiamo
this.
razzolare, ma anche
When I say climate change,
predicare bene.
what do you
Quando
think of?
parlo di cambiamento climatico, cosa vi viene in mente?
I think jobs,
Io penso subito a posti
green
di lavoro.
jobs,
Green jobs,
green jobs.
cioè lavori verdi, ecologici.
We must find a smooth transition
Dobbiamo
towards a
trovare
low-carbon economy.
una transizione
There is no planet
senza
B.
traumi,
There is no
perché
planet
non c'è
blah.
il piano B,
Blah, blah,
non
blah.
c'è il
Blah,
piano
blah, blah.
blah, 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 blah.
This is not about some expensive, politically correct green act
Non
of
stiamo
bunny hugging
parlando
or blah, blah,
semplicemente
blah.
di greenwashing che è semplicemente
Build back
coperto di
better,
belle parole,
blah, blah,
ma
blah.
senza
Green
sostanza.
economy,
Non
blah,
si
blah,
può più
blah.
andare avanti con blah blah blah. Green
Net
economy,
zero
blah,
by
blah,
25,
blah.
2050,
Decarbonizzazione
blah,
entro il
blah, blah.
2050, blah blah blah. Non esiste un
Net
pianeta
zero
B,
by
così come non c'è
2050,
un
blah,
piano
blah,
B,
blah. Net zero,
oppure
blah,
net
blah,
zero
blah.
entro il
Climate
2050,
neutral,
blah
blah, blah, blah.
Carbon neutral, anche lì, blah blah blah.
This is all we hear from our so-called
È
leaders.
tutto quello che sentiamo dai nostri
Words.
cosiddetti leader.
Words that sound great,
parole che
so
sembrano
far
bellissime,
has led to no
altisonanti,
action.
ma per ora non hanno portato ad alcuna
Our hopes and
azione.
dreams
Le nostre
drown
speranze
in their
e
empty
sogni
words and promises.
annegano in tutte queste
Of course, we
vuote
need
parole
constructive
e promesse.
dialogue, but they've now had
Naturalmente ci serve
30
un
years
dialogo
of blah, blah,
costruttivo,
blah,
però
and where
sono
has that led
30
us?
anni che sentiamo bla 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 e dove
Over
siamo?
50% of all
Più
our
del
CO2 emissions have
50% di
occurred
tutte
since
le emissioni di
1990.
CO2 sono avvenute
and
dal
a third since
1990 in poi,
2005.
e un terzo da 2005 in
All
poi.
this while the media is reporting
Tutto
on what the leaders
questo
say that they are going to do
Mentre
instead of
abbiamo
what they are actually
sentito che
doing.
cosa i leader avrebbero voluto fare,
And
ma
then not
nessuno sa
holding
che
leaders
cosa hanno
accountable for
fatto,
their action, or
senza
rather inaction.
responsabilizzare i leader per
And
le
don't get me
loro
wrong, we
azioni
can
e
still do
inazioni.
this.
E
Change
badate
is not
bene,
only possible but urgently
possiamo
necessary,
farcela,
but
il
not
cambiamento è
if we go on
possibile,
like today.
urgente, necessario, ma se non se
They say
continuiamo
they want
così,
solutions,
dicono che vogliono delle
but
soluzioni.
you cannot solve a crisis
Tra
that you do not
virgolette,
fully
ma non si
understand.
può
You cannot
risolvere
balance
una
a
crisi
budget
che non
if
si
you do not
conosce,
count
non
all the
si può
numbers.
equilibrare
And as long as we ignore
bilanciare un
equity
budget, se
and
lo si
historic
ignora,
emissions,
e se
and as
non
long as we
consideriamo
don't
il
include
passato, le
consumption of
emissioni
imported
storiche,
goods,
se non
burning
consideriamo
of
i
biomass,
consumi
etc.,
di
etc.,
merci
and as long as
importanti,
clever
la combustione
accounting
di
is one of the
biomassa,
most
e
efficient ways of
soprattutto
reducing
se
emissions,
una
we won't get
contabilizzazione un po'
anywhere.
falsificata ci consente di continuare a produrre, continueremo su questa strada e non arriveremo da nessuna parte.
And the climate crisis is, of
E la crisi
course,
climatica
only a
è
symptom of a
chiaramente
much larger
solamente un
crisis.
sintomo di una crisi
A
di più ampio
sustainability
respiro,
crisis,
la crisi
a
della
social crisis,
sostenibilità, la crisi
a crisis of
sociale,
inequality
la crisi
that dates
della
back to
diseguaglianza
colonialism
che
and
risale al
beyond.
colonialismo e anche dopo.
A crisis based on the idea
Una
that
crisi
some
basata
people are worth
sull'idea
more than
che
others and
alcune
therefore have the
persone
right
valgono
to
più di altre,
exploit
quindi hanno
and steal
diritto di
other people's
sfruttare
land and
e
resources.
derubare
And it is
altri
very
tre
naive
della
to
loro
believe that
terre
we can solve
risorse,
this
è ingenuo
crisis
pensare
without
che possiamo
confronting the
risolverla
roots of it.
senza prendere di petto
Right
la
now,
crisi alle sue
we are
radici.
still very much
Al
speeding in the
momento
wrong direction.
stiamo ancora andando
2021 is currently
velocemente nella
projected to
direzione
experience the
sbagliata.
second
Nel
highest emission
2021
rise
ci
ever.
sarà probabilmente l'innalzamento
Only
più alto
about
di tutti i
2%
tempi.
of government
Soltanto
recovery spending have been
2%
allocated
delle
to clean
spese
energy
della
measures.
ripresa dei governi è stata
And
allocata
according to a new
per
report
ridurre
by
le
the
emissioni di
UN,
CO2. Secondo
global
un
emissions
rapporto
are expected to
dell'ONU,
rise by
le emissioni
16%
planetarie
by
dovrebbero aumentare
2030
del 16%
compared to
al
2010 levels.
2030 rispetto ai livelli del 2010.
Our leaders' intentional
nostri
lack of action is a
leader
betrayal towards all present
Difettano
and
d'azione,
future
ma
generations.
intenzionale, e questo è un tradimento di
The people
tutte
in
le
power
generazioni
cannot
presenti e
claim that they
future.
are trying,
Quelli a
because they are
potere
clearly
non
not,
possono asserire
as
che
they
ci stanno
continue
provando,
opening
perché
up
è chiaro
brand
che
new
non lo
coal
fanno,
mines, oil fields
dato
and
che continuano
pipelines,
a aprire nuove maniere
pretending
di
to have
carbone,
ambitious
giacimenti
climate policies
petroliferi,
while
facendo
granting new
finta di
oil
avere delle
licenses,
politiche ambiziose
exploring
contro il cambiamento climatico, eppure continuano a sfruttare questi giacimenti e senza vergogna
with even the bare minimum and long overdue funding to help the most vulnerable countries deal with the impacts of the climate crisis. If this is what they consider to be climate action, then we don't want it. They invite cherry-picked young people to meetings like this to pretend that they are listening to us. But they are not. They are clearly not listening to us. And they never have. Just look at the numbers. Look at the statistics. The emissions are still rising. The science doesn't lie. But, of course, we can still turn this around. It is entirely possible. It will take drastic annual emission cuts unlike anything the world has ever seen. And as we don't have the technological solutions that alone can deliver anything close to that, that means we will have to change. We can no longer let the people in power decide what is politically possible or not. We can no longer let the people in power decide what hope is. Hope is not passive. Hope is not blah, blah, blah. Hope is telling the truth. Hope is taking action. And hope always comes from the people. And we the people, we want a safe future. We want real climate action and we want climate justice. Did you hear me? What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
The leaders like to say, we can do this. They obviously don't mean it, but we do. We can do this. I'm absolutely convinced that we can. But it starts with the people. It starts with facing the reality of the situation, as uncomfortable as it may be. It starts with taking action, and it starts now. Again, what do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Thank you.
Vanessa, Greta, thank you very much for your very inspiring talk. Alok, can you hear me? We have a lot to do, a lot of blah, blah, blah. So we continue a little bit now with the organization. So thank you for this session. And now I think I should leave the word, thank the speakers, thank you for coming in this introduction, and leave the word to Federica that will tell you a few instructions for the next days, hoping we can facilitate your life within this venue. Thank you very much again, and I wish you the best for the continuation. soon. Oh, Beppe, grazie.
So, thank you all, thank you for the very inspiring speeches, but now back to work. But first of all, I would like to invite you all to give a big applause to your colleague who could not make it to be here with us today because of the very strict So they could not make it because of the very strict COVID rules in their country, but we will make all efforts to involve them in the discussion as we are with us in person. Okay, so you know the agenda. You have before us the agenda, and you know that the work has been structured around 4 main pressing issues and priority both at national and international level. You will talk about youth driving ambition. We heard very loudly today about ambition. Climate ambition happens in many different ways, in many different places, and can be breaking down at very different levels, multilateral, national, and local. Sustainable recovery. We can either choose to reinforce existing system or, as we heard, beginning to build new one. Non-state actor engagement, the outside world, how it is important to involve them and to push them to take actions. And the climate-conscious society, the foundation, I would say, to all the other previous topics, because without climate-conscious society, we won't able to build the will, the political will, and take ambitious actions. The discussion will occur in different working groups. We are going to have 4 working groups, and we ask some people to help you in this endeavor. And I would kindly ask the co-chairs of the 3 working groups to join me here. So, Nisreen and Tina for the working group 1. Ernest and Kumi for sustainable recovery, working group 2. Nathan and Jane for non-state actor engagement, working group 3. And Sofia and Adriana for Climate Conscious Society, Working Group 4. So I would ask you to present yourself. So first.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and hello to everyone watching us online and also offline. My name is Nisreen Al-Saim. I'm the co-chair along with Tina for Youth Driving Ambition Teamwork. I'm the chair of the UN Secretary General's Youth Advisory Group on Climate Change. I'm also a negotiator with the African Group of Negotiators within UNFCCC processes. I negotiated gender and capacity building and action for climate empowerment, and now I am negotiating technology transfer. I'm also a physicist, so I did physics in my bachelor degree, and I have a master's degree in renewable energy. I'm very glad to be here with you today, and I'm looking forward to meet all of you, and especially the working group 1. Thank you.
Yahweh, hello. My name is Tina Steggy. I work as the climate envoy for the Republic of the Marshall Islands. I am very humbled and privileged to be here today, sitting alongside my fantastic superstar of a co-chair, Nisreen. And very much looking forward to meeting as many of you as I possibly can, particularly those who will be working with us in Working Group 1. And I just want to say a very deep, heartfelt gratitude to the Italian government and all those who worked so hard to organize this, to bring together all of us and give us a space, and particularly privilege the space for youth voices in advance of the pre-COP, at which I will also be attending, and hope to take the messages and the things that I hear here into that meeting. So thank you again, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Nisambulivanaka, everybody. My name is Ernest, and I come from Fiji, and alongside Kumi, I'll be co-chairing the Sustainable Recovery track. And I'm more than grateful to be here, and I would like to extend, I know I don't need to, but a kind reminder to everybody that it's okay to call out bad behavior, that it's okay to say that the last 30 years have been pretty terrible, and that it's more than okay to ensure that we're going to change that system starting today, but we know that it's a much larger process. So I look forward to working with you, and I feel like I probably am part of the best looking track, but that's yet to be determined. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kumi Kitamori, and I come from the organization called the OECD. And I'm very happy to be here, and I'll be supporting Ernest for the Working Group 2 on Sustainable Recovery, which is a topic very dear to me personally. We work a lot on this at the OECD, but also in today's context. And I want to thank the organizers and Italian government. It's a good start and a good turnout, and welcome all the delegates who really took all the effort to be here with us, and look really forward to working not just with my co-chair Ernest, but with everybody in the group. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Nathan. I'm a 22 years old student and also a climate justice advocate. I will be co-chairing the non-state actors engagement with my colleague Jane here. We'll be trying, I agree with Ernest, to make this space that we haven't chosen a safe space, a space where everyone can express themselves as much as we can. It's very different than the spaces that we're used to in our movement. I'll give you that. So we'll see what we can do. And at the very least, if we do not achieve anything, at the very least, we'll have gotten the chance to meet all of us after years and years of working online and remotely. And I'm really, really looking forward to see all of you more during these 3 days. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name's Jane Costello. I will be co-chairing with Nathan Metenier here, the non-state actors work stream. I work for the British Council based in Italy, the climate champion for the EU region, and I used to be an activist and a documentary filmmaker, so I think it was an absolutely fantastic start to the conference, and I'm really looking forward to continuing as things go on. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophia Kiani and I'm a 19-year-old Iranian-American climate activist. I'm very excited to be co-chairing the Climate Conscious Society theme with Adriana here. I am the founder of Climate Cardinals, which is an international youth-led nonprofit working to make climate education more accessible to people who don't speak English. I'm also representing the UN here as I'm part of the United Nations Youth Advisory Group on Climate Change. I'm very excited to be working more on climate education and ensuring that vulnerable populations have access to the information they need to make sense of the disasters that are really destroying their communities.
Good morning, everybody. What an exciting day. Young people from all over the world together mobilizing climate solutions. My name is Adriana Valencia.